The old bridge was Arthur's roof, not much of one really. It leaked when the sky wept big fat tears, and the wind, oh the wind always found a way in. It whistled through the concrete gaps like a lonely, mournful ghost seeking company. Arthur huddled in his worn-out coat, a patchwork of forgotten kindnesses and harsh realities. It was thin, just like his hope some days, stretched taut over the chill of his bones. He clutched a tattered photograph, its edges softened by countless touches. A woman smiled from the faded paper. Her eyes were kind, a warm summer day. He missed those eyes. He missed her warmth more than any forgotten summer sun, more than words could ever say. The city hummed around him, a giant indifferent beast, its heart made of steel and hurry. His stomach growled, a familiar hollow ache. It was a constant companion these days, this gnawing hunger. Sometimes luck smiled. He might find scraps someone else had deemed unworthy, a half-eaten sandwich in a bin carefully wrapped, a discarded apple, bruised perhaps but still holding a whisper of sweetness. Today though, luck had turned its face away. The bins were empty, or their treasures guarded by angrier eyes, by sharper hunger than his own. He watched people hurry by on the pavement above. Their faces were closed tight, like locked doors. Their eyes slid past him, over him, as if he were merely part of the gray, unyielding concrete, just another shadow under the bridge, invisible. It was a heavy cloak, this invisibility, heavier than his threadbare blanket. He longed for someone, anyone, to truly see him, the man, not the shadow. Night was always the hardest time. The cold was a cruel, relentless master. It gnawed at his fingers and toes, sending shivers deep into his marrow. Sleep was a shy, skittish friend, easily scared away by the sudden jarring rumble of trucks thundering overhead, or by the fear that coiled in his belly, fear of tomorrow, with its unknown hardships, fear of never escaping this cold, hard place, this forgotten corner of the world. He remembered a time before, a small house with a bright yellow door, a garden where roses bloomed, laughter that echoed in sunlit rooms. Now those memories felt like a dream from another life, a story that belonged to someone else entirely. He wondered if he would ever feel truly safe again. He wondered if warmth was just a forgotten word from a language he no longer spoke. The city lights painted shimmering, dancing patterns on the dark surface of the river below. They were beautiful, in a distant, untouchable way, like stars he could admire but never, ever reach. Arthur sighed, a small, quiet sound, easily lost in the city's constant, overwhelming roar. He wasn't asking for a palace, for riches beyond imagining, just a dry place to rest his weary head, a kind word to soothe his aching heart, a simple sign that he, Arthur, still mattered in this vast, spinning world. But the world kept spinning, fast and loud and utterly unconcerned, and he remained stuck here, a forgotten man under the bridge, watching, waiting, hoping for a dawn that brought more than just a colder, grayer light. He pulled his knees tightly to his chest, making himself small, a tiny boat adrift in a vast, indifferent ocean. One afternoon, a small shadow detached itself from the usual blur of passing feet. It was a girl, maybe 7 years old, with bright, curious eyes. Her name was Lily. She had stopped, her mother gently trying to pull her along, but Lily's gaze was fixed on Arthur. Not on the dirt or the tattered clothes, but on his face. She saw the sadness there, clear as a puddle after rain. She clutched a half-eaten cookie in her small hand. Without a word, she darted forward before her mother could react and placed the cookie gently on the cardboard beside him. "For you," she whispered, her voice soft as a feather. Then she was gone, pulled away into the stream of people. But the warmth of her small gesture lingered, a tiny glowing ember in the cold. Arthur stared at the cookie. It was chocolate chip, his favorite kind from long ago, a small thing really, but it felt enormous. Someone had seen him, a child. Children often saw things adults missed. He picked it up slowly. He hadn't meant to cry, but a tear escaped, then another. They traced paths through the grime on his cheeks. It wasn't just the cookie, it was the seeing, the not being invisible, if only for a moment. He thought of his own daughter, grown now, living far away. He hadn't seen her in years. This little girl Lily had her eyes, that same open, unafraid curiosity. He ate the cookie slowly, savoring each crumb, each sweet morsel of unexpected kindness. Arthur hadn't always been under the bridge. Once he was Arthur Miller, a carpenter. His hands knew the feel of wood, the satisfaction of building something strong and true. He'd had a wife, Sarah, the woman in the photograph. Her laughter was music. Then Sarah got sick. The medical bills piled up like mountains of snow, cold and crushing. He sold the small house, then the car. He worked 2 jobs, then 3, but it was never enough. After Sarah passed, a piece of him went with her. The grief was a heavy fog and he lost his way. His job slipped through his fingers, then his small apartment. One bad turn, then another, a cascade of misfortune and sorrow, until the bridge was all that was left. It wasn't laziness, it was loss. It was life sometimes, being too hard. Lily came back the next day. This time she brought a small juice box and a bright orange. Her mother stood a little way off, watching, a hesitant smile on her face. "My name is Lily," the girl said, bold now. "What's yours?" Arthur hesitated. It had been so long since anyone asked. "Arthur," he said, his voice raspy from disuse. Lily talked. She chattered about her school, her cat named Whiskers, her favorite color, which was purple. Arthur mostly listened. Her voice was like a little bird singing, chasing away some of the gloom that clung to him. He learned that sometimes the smallest lights can shine the brightest in the deepest darkness, offering a glimmer of what might yet be. The days for Arthur were a long, slow march of survival. Each morning the first thought was hunger. The second, finding a safe place for the day, a place where he wouldn't be chased away. He knew the routes of the garbage trucks, the best times to search for discarded food before it was too spoiled. He knew which park benches were less exposed to the biting wind, but the constant worry wore him down. It was like carrying a heavy, invisible sack of stones on his back, every single moment. The simple act of finding a public restroom to wash his face felt like a monumental victory. These small dignities, so easily taken for granted by others, were precious, hard-won treasures for him. The hardest part, harder even than the hunger or the cold, was the invisibility. People walked past, their eyes flicking away as if he were a stain on the pavement. Sometimes he would try to make eye contact, to offer a small, hesitant nod. Most often he was met with a blank stare, or worse, a look of disdain, of fear. It made him feel like he wasn't real, like a ghost haunting the edges of their busy lives. He wasn't a monster. He was a man who had loved and worked and dreamed just like them. This constant dismissal chipped away at his spirit, making him feel smaller and smaller, until he almost believed he truly was invisible to the world. Lily's visits became a small, bright punctuation mark in his otherwise bleak existence. She didn't see a homeless man. She saw Arthur. She brought him drawings, a lopsided sun, a purple cat that looked more like a friendly blob. She told him stories from her books. Her innocent questions, "Don't you have a home, Arthur? Why not?" were sometimes painful, but they were honest. They made him remember who he used to be. Individuals, Arthur realized, could make a difference with simple acts. Acknowledging someone's presence, offering a warm drink on a cold day, a pair of dry socks, a sandwich, or just a smile, a moment of shared humanity. These weren't solutions to homelessness, but they were lifelines. They were whispers that said, "You are not forgotten." Sometimes other people noticed Lily talking to Arthur. A few would scowl, pulling their children closer, but some would pause. An elderly woman once left a warm scarf on the bench after Lily had gone. A teenage boy, skateboarding past, dropped a granola bar near Arthur's feet, muttering, "Here," without making eye contact, but the intent was clear. These small acts, inspired perhaps by Lily's uninhibited kindness, were like tiny cracks of light appearing in a very dark wall. They reminded Arthur that beneath the surface of indifference, compassion could still be found. It showed that one person's courage to care could ripple outwards, touching others, prompting them to see, truly see, the person in the shadows. Lily's mother, initially wary, started talking to Arthur too. She learned bits of his story. She saw the gentle man behind the hardship. She started bringing him hot soup in a flask. She also started asking questions in her community. What can we do? Society, Arthur knew, often preferred to look away from problems like homelessness. It was easier to blame the individual than to examine the cracks in the system. But homelessness wasn't just a personal failing. It was often a result of job losses, lack of affordable housing, untreated mental illness, or catastrophic medical debt, like his own. Society needed to provide more safety nets, more support systems so that people didn't fall so far, so fast. Governments had a huge role to play. They could build more affordable housing, not just temporary shelters. They could fund mental health services and addiction treatment programs, making them accessible to everyone, regardless of their ability to pay. They could invest in job training and support for those who had lost their footing in the workforce. Instead of criminalizing poverty, making it illegal to sleep in public spaces, they could focus on solutions that offered dignity and a path back to stability. It required political will. It required seeing homeless individuals as citizens deserving of care and support, not as a nuisance to be cleared away. It meant investing in people, in their potential to heal and rebuild. Inspired by Lily and her mother, a small group from their neighborhood started to organize. They collected warm clothes and blankets. They put together hygiene kits. They volunteered at a local soup kitchen, and they started advocating with their city council for better resources. Arthur watched these developments with a fragile, emerging hope. He saw people working together, not just offering charity but demanding change. He even helped sort donations one day, his carpenter hands remembering the feel of useful work. He wasn't just receiving, he was contributing in his own small way. It felt good. It felt like a step towards something better, a step away from the cold shadow of the bridge. One chilly autumn afternoon, Lily's mother came to Arthur with news. A local church, working with the community group, had found a spot for him in a transitional housing program. It wasn't a palace, just a small, clean room with a real bed and a door that locked. But to Arthur, it felt like paradise. He would have support, counseling, and help finding part-time work. As he packed his few belongings, Lily gave him a hug. "You'll have a warm bed now, Arthur," she said, her eyes shining. Arthur nodded, his own eyes misty. The journey ahead was still long, but for the first time in years he felt a genuine spark of hope. Compassion, starting with one little girl and a cookie, had built a bridge not of concrete and steel but of kindness leading out of the darkness.
If you feel this video touch your heart, please like and subscribe to encourage us to bring more of these stories to awareness.